Hello and welcome. I am Light and this is my channel. Today I'm going to talk to you about a little girl who was taken from her family and murdered. Before we get started, if you would please give this video a thumbs up. It really needs to be shared and to be seen. This is an open case, never been solved. The killer is still out there, and that helps a lot. If you'd like to subscribe, please do so, and you'll know when my content goes live. Alright, let's start talking about this. In general, 1994 was a year that changed a lot about Seattle. It was the launch of Amazon.com. Can you believe that? 1994. There was a suicide, or not, of Kurt Cobain. For the rest of the country, in July 1994 in particular, All for One topped the music charts. The Chamber by John Grisham was #1 on the best sellers list, and everyone was still talking about that Bronco chase with O.J. Simpson running from the police. And that's when 14-year-old Tanya Frazier went missing from Meany Middle School in Capitol Hill, Seattle, Washington. The police described the person or persons who took her and killed her as evil psychopaths without a conscience. Whoever it was snatched her up in broad daylight, brazenly. They didn't care. They wanted that 14-year-old girl. And that's what's really scary. It's been nearly 30 years since that happened. And her family refuses to give up hope. In 2017, a fresh look was given from a homicide detective. Her mom, Teresa, says that after summer school, Tanya would take the bus to go to work at the Chicken Soup Brigade thrift shop at 25th and Jackson. 14 years old, working a job in the summer. That's kind of unusual these days. She never made it to work. Her mom says it's just hard to believe that it happened, and it happened in an area that I thought was safe. She was down a ravine about 50 feet or so. 5 days later, a neighbor walking his dog found her body. Seattle Police Detective Rolf Norton remembers the case really well. He had just started the police academy. He's quoted as saying, "It's unacceptable for our community. This is just not okay." Little Tanya's body had been stabbed to death. She'd been left next to a tree at the bottom of a steep hill on East Highland Drive, about a half a mile from Volunteer Park. Norton says, "It's out of the way. It's not visible from the street. You almost have to stick your head in there to know that this little spot even exists." For the longest time, it was almost unbearable to even talk about her daughter's murder, but Teresa tried hard to keep this case in the headlines. She's quoted as saying, "Pretty much the worst day. Something a parent never wants to see or hear. Why? Why would you take this innocent person?" Tanya's sister, Tiara, was just 12 years old at the time. And she says, "I want people to be aware that this is still unsolved. We still need help." Of course, a lot has changed at Meany Middle School since the day that Tanya was taken and murdered in 1994. It was remodeled. She was last seen there on July 18th. Her classmates in summer school said that she was talking to a male, but the detectives don't know if he was involved in her death or not. They call it suspicious. Norton is quoted as saying, "There were a lot of leads that got followed up on. Some leads that I don't think are closed today. Some individuals' names that came up and I'm still very suspicious of." 1994 was also the same year that Crime Stoppers of Puget Sound started making posters, and they included one of Tanya's case. Now retired Seattle detective Myrtle Garner is back out asking for the public's help. "Let's end the agony of what the family feels, of what the friends feel," said Carter. In 1994, it seems like it's forever ago. But really, somebody has been carrying this around for a long time, and now it's time to come forward. Of course, any information will help, but what they really need is a tip with a suspect's name. Detectives did collect forensic evidence from the case, but they need someone to match. As we've talked about before on this channel, even if you have the DNA of the perpetrator, it doesn't matter if they're not in some database. So you need the perpetrator to match the DNA to. Detective Norton says Tanya's killer is still out there. He was never addressed. Someone knows something. Someone spoke to someone. Someone made admissions. There are pieces of information out there that haven't been shared with us, and that is what we need. To Tanya's sister, one of the frightening parts is that you never know who it is, she says. Are they still around us? Is it somebody that we know? Is it somebody that is still in our life? I don't know who it is, and it makes you not trust many people. Can you even imagine that? Just think about that. Was it someone she trusted? Someone that picked her up and gave her an excuse? Your mom needs you. I'm going to give you a ride to work. You don't have to work today. We're going to go somewhere. Someone still close to the family? That is a frightening thought. When asked, Tanya's family said that they don't know what they would say to the killer. It's been so long without any answers, but it's an opportunity they would welcome. She never did anything to anybody, says her sister. Why? What was the point of this? This happened in broad daylight. Somebody has to know something. I can't imagine that this killer is that smart. There has to be somebody that knows something. And isn't that the basis of this and so many other cases? Somebody knows something. Have you heard somebody in your family or a group of friends that has made some offhand remark about something they did or joked about something they might have done, and you thought, well, they're just trying to get attention, that's just them, they're drunk, just brushed it off? Think about those things. Sometimes it's just the smallest clue that can help solve a case. And maybe you were just a teen at the time that Tanya was killed. Maybe you were walking and saw her get into somebody's car or get off the bus and be picked up by somebody. We don't know. Maybe you're older now and you can look back and think, maybe I do have some information. Maybe I can help. And if you do, please come forward and give the information to Crime Stoppers. It's anonymous, and nobody will know where it came from. You can call the hotline at 1-800-222-TIPS. There is a $1,000 reward for any information that can bring Tanya's killer to justice. Thank you for coming here. Good night.